Okay. Can you hear me okay? Cool. Yeah, so good evening, Chennai. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here with you today. Actually, this is my first visit to Chennai. We're here to talk about the Google Apps Developer Challenge. So all through the G Day, you've been hearing, attend a lot of talks, about this API, that API, this technology, and so on. It's time to show what you can do with all this knowledge, right? So we're giving you a chance to do stuff with what you've learned. Now, like I said, this is my first time coming to Chennai. It's not my first time in South India. And you know why I like coming to Southern India? Well, it's one place in the world where I can come to and people don't tell me that my name is too long. So that's my name, actually my full name, Chukwuemeka, but you could call me Emeka. I'm a program manager of the outreach team in emerging markets. And yeah, so I'm happy to be here. And we're going to be talking about the Google Apps Developer Challenge. So I'm going to start by asking a very dumb question. Please forgive me. But who has heard of Google Apps? Show of hands. Oh, maybe it wasn't such a dumb question after all. Right? So Google Apps, for those of you who haven't heard of it, for those of you who have, please bear with me. Google Apps generally means Google's cloud offering that is software as a service. So many of you have used it without knowing, perhaps, when you talk of stuff like Gmail, Google Drive, Calendar, contacts, tasks, and so on. So basically, once you have a Gmail account, you have access to most of these offerings, including Google Groups and so on. If you want to have more information of what Google Apps is, and even the version for businesses, Google Apps for Business and so on, for schools, for NGOs and so on, you can just visit this URL, google.com/a, and it will give you a full understanding of what Google Apps is all about. Good. So another dumb question. Who had heard of this challenge before today? Okay. So maybe it wasn't a dumb question yet again. So the Google Apps Developer Challenge. Very brief overview before we dig into the details. The whole idea of the challenge is to show what you can do with the Google Apps and Google Drive API as well as AppScript. Now note very carefully what I said, Google Apps through Google Drive API as well as AppScript. So some of you may have attended the earlier session that talked about the Google APIs and how you can connect to them using REST and so on. Now and you may also have been at the keynotes where we saw demos of Google Drive, how you could edit stuff, collaborate, and so on and so forth. It's very possible to access these things programmatically. That means it's possible to write your own programs that can access the user's or the user's documents, his contacts, make entries into his calendar, create tasks for him, send emails on his behalf, create documents, and so on, right? So this is what this challenge is all about. How can you build amazing, awesome apps that can do this? And also AppScript. You saw a very brief taste of AppScript during the last 2 sessions or so. So AppScript is a very, very robust cloud scripting language now. There's so much you can do. It's not just, before it used to be restricted to spreadsheets, but now it's a whole platform of its own. So you can build full-fledged web apps using AppScript. So, there's a whole lot you can do to win this money, right? And there are going to be 6 regions across the world competing for these prizes that include the prize of $20,000, Chromebooks, and other special prizes for students and female developers, right? And the beautiful thing about this competition is that each region is going to have 3 winners. So 3 people are taking home that money from India, guaranteed, right? And the submission window opens on the 25th of July and ends on the 24th of August. It's been running since the 5th of June. That's the website URL for all the details, including the terms and conditions. Now, having said all this, I know everybody is focused on the red font, $20,000. It's a life-changing sum of money. Money is good, no doubt about it. But beyond that, I want us to think beyond the money, right? Yes, you're going to develop a cool app that could win you some money, right? It could win you some money. But beyond that, you should be thinking of the app you're developing. After the competition, what's going to become of that app? Right? Who are you targeting? Is that app an app that you're going to take to the market and make something out of it? So that's what you should be thinking of. So we had, like, last year we had a similar competition, but it was just restricted to Africa, and it was focused on Android. I just picked out 3 applications. The first one you see there, Afrinoli, was one of the winners. They took home the grand prize, right? And today, they signed a deal with one of the biggest telcos in Africa because of that app. And right now, I can tell you they are smiling home to the bank, right? The other 2 apps there did not win, right? They did not win. But because they were so well built, they are doing very well. One of them got funding from an angel investor. It's a game, Rainbow Racer, and he went on to start working on a gaming engine based on the game he built. The other one built an app for wedding planning. You can imagine it was very popular among the ladies. And right now, that app has almost 500,000 downloads on Google Play. So the point I'm making is that, yes, competing for the money is great, but when you're building your app, think beyond the competition. All right? So that's just the point I wanted to make. So let's get into the details. What is the competition about? I'll say it one more time. It's about developing new applications built using Google Apps, Google Drive, and App Scripts. Okay? Now, I'll say at this point, another thing I want to point out is that I'm sure you know that Google Apps is gaining a lot of adoption worldwide. A lot of small businesses, large businesses are beginning to adopt Google Apps. A lot of people are getting Gmail accounts, using Google Groups, using Google Drive, and so on. These people are looking for value-added solutions on top of the platform, right? So you should think of what value you can create using these APIs that we've provided to you for all these people, all right? So that's what we're looking at, how you can build cool apps using these technologies. So one question I keep getting is, what are these APIs? Which APIs qualify or are eligible under this, when I say Google Apps or Google Drive API or App Scripts? And the short answer to that is these 4 URLs that I have in the presentation. If you also, again, I'll refer back to the earlier talk on the Google APIs, right? Developers.google.com. If you haven't taken anything away from the entire G-Day, what you should take away is developers.google.com. Pretty much everything you've heard here today is contained in that URL, developers.google.com. From the documentation about the APIs to people who have built cool stuff with the APIs, to how you can contact Googlers who are working on these technologies to interact with them, be it through office hours, chats, when the next events are going to be, and so on and so forth. So developers.google.com is a very important website, very important resource. Now, developers.google.com/drive contains everything you need to know about writing applications that work with Google Drive. All right? Developers.google.com/google-apps contains everything you need to know about writing apps that work with all the other Google Apps APIs like the contacts, tasks, calendar, and so on. Sites, right? How can you integrate into all these technologies and do something amazing with them? Then App Script, of course, contains App Script documentation. Script.google.com is a website or a place where you can go and immediately start writing and creating your own scripts. If you looked at the first presentation, there are like three ways you can create a script using Google Apps Script, either from inside a spreadsheet, or when you go to the Google Drive console, you click on Create, you can create a new document, spreadsheet, or script. Or you just go to script.google.com, and what it is basically is a cloud-based IDE for AppScript. AppScript is a JavaScript-based language that allows you to seamlessly integrate into Google services across the cloud. And there's so much you can do with it, especially with the new updates they made just before Google I/O. So now you can do so much with it, including build full-fledged web apps just using AppScript. So these APIs are the ones that make your app eligible for the competition. For your app to be eligible for the competition, you have to use at least one of these guys, right? Even if your app can launch a rocket into space and it doesn't use any of these APIs, it is not eligible for the competition. If it can cook, clean, and do everything, and it doesn't use any of these, it is not eligible, right? So take note of these URLs, go and study the APIs and see what you can do with them. Now, the beautiful thing about these APIs is that, as you may have heard also in the earlier presentation, they are REST-based, they are HTTP-based, right? Which pretty much means that you can access them with any language under the sun that can, open a socket, a HTTP socket, and do get, post, put, delete, and all that over HTTP, right? But to make it easier and to abstract some of the heavy lifting, Google has made available client libraries in at least 8 languages, right? And if you look at that list, I don't think there is any commonly used language that you won't see on that list, right? So what this does, it takes away a lot of things that usually bring a lot of pain, like authentication, OAuth2, back and forth, and so on, right? So you can focus on building your app, right? And if you go to the URLs I stated before, right, the Drive and Google Apps and all that, you'll see examples, sample apps that have been built. And the beautiful thing about these apps is that you could just take them, right? They were built in such a way that you could just take them and insert your own business logic, maybe change a few things, and start building up your own app from there. Assuming you're building from scratch. So let's talk a bit about how the competition works. There's going to be 2 rounds, right? The first round, the submission starts July 25th and ends on the 24th of August. All right? So what's going to happen? By the 24th of August, everybody should have submitted their apps. Now, this submission will be by way of filling a form, and you're going to be expected to enter a URL to your app. You're not uploading any file. So the expectation is that you built and hosted your application somewhere, anywhere of your choice, right? We're not particular about where you host it, but it should be publicly accessible. And then you enter the URL, enter a description of your app, how to use your app, because the person who is going to judge your app doesn't know you, has never seen you before, right? And doesn't know your app. So the person needs to know how your app works. And is going to log in using a Google account, right? A Gmail account, and verify everything you said your app does. Okay? Now, at the end of all this, there's going to be like a screening process where 10 applications per category, and I'm going to talk about the different categories in a bit, are going to be chosen. So in India, for example, there are 3 categories, so there's going to be 10 applications per category. So in all, you're going to have 30 apps are going to make it to the semifinals in India, right? And these judges are going to be made up of, Googlers and some external individuals that we feel are subject matter experts and can judge these apps. All right? Now, on or about the 13th of September, we're going to announce these 30 apps. All right? Now, these 30 apps are going to move on to the next round, What's going to happen during that next round? They are going to be given 1 month to tidy up their apps, right? Make it more robust, add maybe that extra killer feature, you know. And the judges are even going to give feedback during the judging process. I noticed that you could have done this, you should have done that. So you're going to be given a month to tidy up your application, all right? Then you resubmit by the 25th of October, okay? And then there's going to be another round of judging, and from there, the winner will be picked. There's going to be 1 winner per category in each region. So in India, there's going to be 3 winners. And the announcement should come on or about the 12th of November. Does that sound good? Cool. So just to run through the regions, there are 6 regions. There's Sub-Saharan Africa, there's Middle East and North Africa, there's India, there's Southeast Asia, there's Latin America, and there's United States, Europe, and the rest of the world. Those are the 6 regions. Each of these regions will provide 3 winners. So 18 winners are going to take home $20,000 each. All right? So I talked about the categories. So there are 3 categories under which you could submit your apps. So you should look at those very carefully and decide where your app fits in the most. The first category is enterprise or small business solutions. So you're basically talking about business apps. How can you help automate stuff? You know, it could be workflow, it could be accounting, HR, whatever. You know, it could be a logistics thing, anything, a tool that you feel would find use in an enterprise environment. And you know that Google Apps is very, very big in the enterprise space, right? So how can you help these guys who are already using Google Apps for their domains? How can you add value to what they are doing, to their different businesses? So that's the first category. The second category has to do with social, personal productivity, games, and fun. So this is basically targeted towards the individual, right? The average guy out there with a Gmail account. What are the cool apps that you can offer that person to do whatever? All right? Then the third category has to do with education, not-for-profit, water, food and hunger, and health. I think these are self-explanatory. A lot of schools today use Google Apps as well for their domain, you know, for their school emails and stuff. Is there a way you could integrate into that? Even on an individual level, you could build an app that teaches maybe kids how to do something, or teaches secondary school kids or college kids how to do stuff, and it integrates into Google Drive or their email or their contacts or their calendar or something, right? Or you built it with AppScript and it's really cool. So how can you do that? All right? Now, you're allowed to submit 1 app per category. So if you feel you're a ninja, you can build 3 apps and submit under 3 categories, right? Or you could focus on just 1 app, make it really cool, and submit it under 1 category. And hope for the best, right? So it's very possible that you could see an app that fits into more than 1 category, but you have to decide which category it aligns best with, because that's also what the judge will be looking at. So you've built your app, you've submitted it, everything is looking nice. I'm sure you want to know what are the things that the judges will be looking out for when they're deciding who to award that money to. And these are the criteria. So the first thing, like I said before, is how well did your app use these APIs I pointed out in the earlier slides, right? So you could do every other thing, great app, cures cancer, but it doesn't use this API, you won't be eligible. All right? So that's the first thing the judges will be looking at. Then, how original is your concept? Right? So the first criteria is the most important, is the compulsory one. Every other thing, it depends on where you want to focus. You could make everything work. So how original is your concept? By originality, I mean, It doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that has never been done before. You could build an app that has never been built, right? That's good. Or you could build an app that exists, but you added some secret ingredient, something new, a new dimension to the app, right? That, somebody feels is innovative. So that's one thing the judge will be looking at. Then how relevant is it to India? Relevance to region. So maybe if you're building, maybe you call your app, my app is an iceberg tracking system for Bangalore, right? The judge is going to ask, are there any icebergs in Bangalore? Right? And if the answer is no, that means your app will score very low in that category. All right? So basically what they're trying to say here is that when you're building your app, try and think about how you're going to solve a relevant problem in your region as much as possible. It doesn't mean you can't build an app that solves a problem in Japan. You can. But, under that criteria, you may not score as high. You could score super high somewhere else and still win. It all depends on you. This is just for your information. Then, of course, very important is how polished your app is. How professional is it? So this competition, come on, 20 grand, right? So this is not your overnight hack kind of judges to be looking at. Then indispensability. How compelling is your application? Even if it's a game, right? Is it a game that when I'm playing it, I don't want to put it down? Right? Or is it an accounting system that if I don't use it, my office, my business will fail? Right? So how compelling is it? That's what the judges will be looking at. And then another thing is you get added love for using other Google APIs that are outside the APIs I mentioned. So things like the Google Hangout API, Google History API, Google Plus History API, maybe you host on Google App Engine or something like that. It will be taken note of and you could be awarded some extra points there. But it doesn't mean that you must use them. But if you do use them, you may be shown some extra love. So, what are the prizes? After going through all this turmoil and sweat and building this great app, what are you going to get? We've said the word 20,000 a number of times this evening. So let's talk about some of the other prizes. So if you make the semifinals, if you're one of those 30 apps that make the semifinals in India, right, you're going to get a Chromebook for making the semifinals. Right? Now, if you are a student, right, if you're part of a team that is all students, so it could be a team of one person, team of 2 students, or 3 students. That's the maximum team size. And you get to the semifinals, the team gets $1,000 for getting to the semifinals. Okay? And I know we have some female developers in the house, right? Can I see you guys? Come on. Yes. Cool. So we're also looking, that voice didn't sound female, but we're also looking to highlight innovations by female developers as well. And because of that, teams of female developers could be 1, 2, 3 as well. If they get to the semifinals, the team also gets $1,000. All right? Then, for the winners, like I said, there's going to be 18 winners per, in all, 18 winners, across the world. 3 from India. So if you win, for the entry, you get $20,000, right? Now, if you're a student or a team of students, one of the guys who got $1,000 the first time, and you go on to win the grand prize, okay? Your department is going to get an additional $18,000. Okay? So they are going to really, really be proud of you if you get to win. Maybe your graduation will be guaranteed. Right? And just to avoid doubt, if you're a team of female students and you make the semifinals, that means you make $2,000 because you get the prize for the female and you get the prize for the students. All right? So it's all well and good that we told you to go out and build all these apps, but we also have support channels. These support channels are the same support channels that you've been hearing over and over during all the talks at this G-Day, right? So, I mean, you should be familiar with them by now, but I'll just go through them once again. There's developers.google.com, very, very, very important, right? So when you go there, you see documentation about everything, the APIs, office hours, showcases, examples, tutorials, and so on. Everything you need to win the money. Now, the various product teams have what we call office hours. Usually, they are done on Google+, Hangout. These are forums where you can actually log on in a Hangout with the guy who built the Google Drive API and ask him face-to-face, or her face-to-face, hey, I'm having this problem, how do I solve it? And they give you pointers or refer you to the relevant documentation or whatever. All right? And these office hours also happen not just on Google+, they also happen on IRC chat and all that. Then there's stackoverflow.com. Right? That's a very popular website. Anybody who has ever searched for, copied and pasted an error message in the search bar, I'm sure you must have come across this website, stackoverflow.com. So we also have our developer advocates. They're also on the forum. So they also answer questions there. So there are specific groups dedicated to Google Drive and app scripts on stackoverflow.com. So if you go there, ask a question. If nobody else answers it, if it's such a tough question, I'm sure there's a Googler who's going to step in and help you out. Then also very important is the hashtag GApps Challenge on Google+. So that's where a lot of people collaborate. You get to know people who are doing hackathons close by. People ask questions there, so you could also ask questions as well. If there's anything you're not clear about on the competition, just use that hashtag on Google+, and somebody will get back to you, usually within less than 12 hours. All right? Then you could also opt in for emails, right, where we inform you about the milestones, this deadline is approaching, and so on and so forth. And there's a mailing list as well, which is still the same thing, where people get support. So all these support channels are there for you. You have no excuse not to get that money. So I know, yeah, we've told you build these apps. You may have a little problem trying to think up ideas and how the APIs work. So you could visit the Chrome Web Store. There are a number of very cool apps that people have built that use Google Drive and so on. So you may just look at it and be inspired. And maybe you could do even better. Right? Maybe there's something they built that works in the US but doesn't work in India because of some peculiarities that you identify. Who knows, right? So be inspired. Go there and see if you can do better. All right? So some very important things to know. The first thing I'll say is make sure you go to the competition website. Don't rely on everything I've told you here. Go to the website and make sure you read the terms and conditions on the website. So it spells out some things like eligibility and so on and so forth. But some things I'll just pick out is that this competition is targeted at new applications, new apps. So what do I mean by a new app? A new app is an app that has not been publicized before August 24th. That means it's not on any existing app store or web store, right? You haven't already been selling it. Maybe you have this very crucial accounting package that has been there for 10 years. It's so robust, and you feel that maybe you could submit it for the competition. No, it's not eligible, right? So apps that have been publicized or published rather before August 24th are not eligible for the challenge. Now you could build maybe you build the app and it's sitting on your laptop for the past 20 years and you want to brush it up, it could work. That could work, so long as you haven't published it. All right? So you may want to brush it up and submit it. Good luck, right? Then for students, the only way we can know that you're a student is if you submit, because you enter your email address when you're submitting. If you submit using your official school email, right, with the official domain and your official school website. If you submit using a gmail.com email address, we assume that you're just maybe a seasoned programmer who's been working for 20 years. All right? Then, yeah, so bear in mind that when you're building your app, the person who is going to be logging in is going to be logging in using a Google account. So that makes, again, if you attended the first session, where they talked about OAuth2 authentication and all that, how to authenticate people who are using their Google accounts so that they can access their Google Drive, calendar, docs, and so on, makes it very important. You may want to review that one more time. So just bear that in mind. And, of course, the judges will not know you. All the judges will see is your app. Right? So make sure in the description of your app and the way you design your app that it makes it easy for somebody to use and access. You will not regret it. Again, make sure you go to the website, read everything on the website, look at the terms and conditions, follow the hashtag on Google Plus for updates. For example, I'll give you a good example, right? This competition was launched before Google I/O. During Google I/O, a lot of very important things happened to these APIs. There were a lot of upgrades made that made it even easier for people to win this money. And these releases to these APIs were shared on Google Plus, publicly, right, on Google Plus. And so some of them were shared using the hashtag. So people who follow the hashtag are able to see things relating to the competition happening both in the outside world, everywhere. So it's very important you follow the hashtag. Okay? So who still wants to win the money? Or have I scared all of you? So, cool. I'll take questions if you have any questions. You want to use the mic? Mic, please.
Excuse me.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so he wants to know if it's an individual or team effort. So, any of them. Teams are allowed, but the maximum team size is 3 people. But it could be an individual. If you feel you can do it on your own and win the 20 grand, fine. All right. You look like a guy who wants to do it on his own.
Excuse me.
All right.
Here. Over here. Will I have to upload my application to your Drive account? Google Drive.
Okay, so you can host the application anywhere you like, right?
Okay.
But like I said, bear in mind that the person logging into it is going to be accessing his own drive.
Okay.
You understand? So if I'm the person logging in, he's going to be accessing my documents, my contacts, my calendar, right? So this is just a tip that I'm giving. When you're building your app, bear that in mind. Don't fall into the trap of building an app that accesses your own documents. And then maybe you assume when the guy now logs in with his own account, you know, it's all messed up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And each and every app will get any recognition from Google?
Will it get?
Any entries, like each entries?
Yeah.
Not only the winners or semi-finalists.
Whether they'll get recognition.
Do they get any credits or any?
So we're going to recognize the cool apps, whether they win or not, right? So we could have a situation where we have 1 million submissions and all of them are cool, right? We're going to recognize all of them by saying, hey, that's a cool app, that's a cool app. We're going to tell people, hey, this app was built by this guy and it was cool. You should check it out.
Okay,
right?
thank you.
Sir, here. So here, so
Okay, it's a big hall.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm a student. Many
Yeah.
colleges in India do not provide official .edu accounts for the students. Is there? But you said that we, as a student, we need an official email account. Is there any way to go around that?
No.
No.
So this would be a good time. I feel $18,000 is enough motivation for a school to get official domain, right? So this would be a good time for them to do that. Another thing is that many schools provide, but the students don't use it. Yeah. So this is something you should look at. Tell your school, man, if they don't have, they should.
So can students of different colleges combine together and form a team? Is there any possible?
Yeah, so the way it works is that if you form a team and you win, right, you get the money, the $1,000. If you go on to win the grand prize, because there are 3 people and it's 18,000, it will be split between their departments.
Okay, sir. Another thing I'd like to add is that in case of submission of that app, whether we have to stick one project leader as like that.
Whether you have to,
If we are
whether there has to be a team leader.
yeah.
Well, I would guess so, because the prize is awarded to the entry, not to the individual.
Okay, sir.
All right?
Thank you, sir.
Hey, here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
win or lose, can I try to commercialize that app after the competition is over?
Of course. Yeah, so it states there in the terms and conditions that the intellectual rights and everything belongs to you.
Okay.
Google is only asking that you give us permission by submitting that app to publicize it and use it as a showcase, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Okay.
Right? Other than that, the app is yours.
Okay. So do we get any support from Google in terms of spreading the word about that app and things like that?
Yeah, like I told you, if the app is really cool, of course we'll spread the word about it.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This side.
Okay.
So if two persons are submitting almost similar kind of idea as an application from different regions, do we get an intimation that this is already submitted or it's kind of duplicate one?
No. So if all of you submit the same idea, right? If all of you submit an app that does the same thing, right? You remember there are different criteria. The idea is just one of the criteria. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
So it doesn't,
so it doesn't
it's not
matter.
discriminated saying that it's duplicate.
Yeah, you can submit anything, any idea you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Should I need to submit the source code?
No. You're not submitting the source code, you're submitting the URL to your app. Your app will be judged based on the functionality of your app.
The source code belongs to, the application belongs to me, not to the Google.
No, it belongs to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Here, over here. Here.
Oh,
Okay.
this is a nice game.
If I already have an app,
Yeah.
okay, in a Google store, and if I modify or I can submit the same thing to the challenge or something.
So the short answer is no.
Okay.
However, it depends. So if the modification is significant, such that the app, basically, so that it's no longer the same app, right? Then yes.
No,
but
actually
if you just tweak something,
yeah, that's
then
what.
no.
Can I modify something else with the same application?
No.
Update the version or something.
I'll
New app.
I'll make it easy. No.
I mean, not the version, maybe the upgrade of something. Like I can add more things into it,
Yeah. So
but with the same idea.
So look at it this way, right? Let me make it easy for you. What if you do that and you win, and somebody comes out and says, hey, this app has been in existence for the past 40 years, and we look at the app, and we look at it and see that these apps are very, very similar, that you just change a small thing, that means you won't win anymore. So if you feel that the modification is significant enough, such that they can say that these are not necessarily, this guy actually did some work. He did some work because of this challenge, then yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Well, you have.
We have, sorry, one second.
1 second.
So you said the app should be a new one. It should not be available live before. So does that mean that you want to make it live on that particular day? Because consider that before submission, I am making it live before a week, and I see a couple of people going and registering on the site. So does that take the eligibility of my
so
application?
you build an app, you're testing it, right? You host it somewhere, you're testing it. You send the link to your brother, your friend. He's also testing it. 1, 2, 3. That's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
What we're talking about is that you built an app and you advertise it and you said, hey, I have this great app. People should come and use it. You put it on Facebook, on Google+, on Twitter, everywhere. You're broadcasting the link. You hosted it on an app store. It's published.
Okay.
That is not eligible.
So that can be live, but that is controlled live, kind of.
Yeah, so live for testing purposes,
Okay.
yes.
So is that enough if it's just mentioned and if it's controlled registration kind of things is controlled?
How do you mean?
I mean that, for example, if it's a hosted site, it needs to be logged in to get it functional. So I'm locking the functionality. I mean, I'm locking the registration system and the login system.
Yeah.
And as well as it is also neatly labeled. So does that make it eligible then? Because I'm considering taking it live before 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yes. So you're taking it live for testing, as in you're hosting it somewhere so that you can test it and make sure that it works. That is the only consideration that we're giving. If you're hosting it somewhere so that people can start using it, no.
Can we take the mentor guidance officially?
Can we implement?
Mentor guidance means if someone guides us.
Yeah, sure, yeah, exactly. That's when I showed you all the support channels, that's exactly what it's for. You know?
We're going to take the last question. Thank you.
So if the person guiding you is okay with you taking the 20 grand, fine.
Actually, it's not pushing, it's for solution. Now, the student asked about they don't have official domain in the school. But actually, we are using that. The most Google is provide free domains for free mail services for Google Apps. For example, the IGNO, one of the largest universities in IGNO, is using the mail apps from the free of cost. So everybody posting the Google give the free of cost. So not more than cost around 500 rupees India rupees. The domain cost only, they only are allowed to register the domain only. They automatically, for example, mail dot at some institution name at ac.in, they are providing free of cost. So we are also installed some schools the Google Mail apps.
Yeah, so
cost.
I don't understand your question. You're saying that
it's one of friend asking.
Yeah.
The government.
Okay, you're telling him.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you get your school, the build, the
go to the principal,
domain.
tell him about the Google service. The Google giving a free of cost. The mail no need to pay large amount of hosting company, whatever everything. So everything's free of cost.
Yeah.
The only Google validating this is genuine or not only. Even I'm also using the Google standard application.
And they'll win $18,000, man. Come on.
Yeah, this education is free.
All right.
But Google is giving is free for humanity, filling to every human. We are already using that.
I don't understand.
No, you are not understanding. See, he asking about that. The school
I think he understands you now.
Yeah, he asking about the school don't have email address. Officially, this is Indian condition. People was only in the academic institution only asking the money from the only students, not giving the full facilities there. This is real condition in India. I'm more than 16 years there. Yeah, that's true.
No, it's true. Even all over the world.
Google beat it down.
Yeah.
I was used to them. So many institutions, I was set up such a mail service free of cost, not more than 500 rupees. Just only paying $10 for credit card. For Big Daddy, only GoDaddy for only domain registration. Everything giving Google as a free, even 7 MX records. Within seconds, email is received. Even it's Google apps also, you can able to chart them. Even you able to Google, another Google, everything you will do that. It's free of cost.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What we can do is, he's going to come to you.
Yeah.
You can talk to him personally.
Yeah. So,
ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big hand for the gentleman out here, everyone?